1080, download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. A pivotal moment in American history, maybe even a pivotal moment in world history. President's ominous threats against the Iranian Republic to essentially end their civilization with a deadline of 8 p.m. EST tonight. It's approximately 5 hours left until the President of the United States either withdraws this ultimatum or he makes good on the ultimatum with something the President has essentially referred to as an event that has not been seen in human history. It's almost impossible to fathom what the President of the United States is talking about, thinking about. But when we add the removal of generals and a cabinet that has been complicit and cooperative with the president on every single venture, there are deeply challenging concerns about what the President of the United States is planning to do should Iran not meet his ultimatum to open up the Hormuz Strait. Now, let us not forget that the oil that comes out of the ground of Iran and that region belongs to the Arab world. It belongs to the people of Iran. And yet the President of the United States, who preemptively, along with Israel, launched an attack on the state of Iran, is saying that they are closing the Hormuz Strait, therefore denying the entire planet access to 20% of the petroleum. The consequences for all of our economies around the world are extraordinary. And therefore, the President of the United States, in an Easter-laid comment and tweet, offered a threat to rain hellfire down on the people of Iran by destroying all of their bridges and their power plants and essentially ending their civilization. We can only imagine, in our worst case scenario, what that could mean. Michael Cohen is a lawyer, legal expert who served as personal attorney and confidant, an informal problem solver or fixer for the president, the 45th and 47th president of the United States. Cohen was also a senior executive of the Trump Organization, a private conglomerate of Trump-owned corporate partnerships. And I'm particularly good and grateful to call him my friend. We've been working on a number of critical projects together to help men and women who paid their debt to society. We worked closely during the Biden administration. We continue that very important work towards the restoration of their lives. I'm going to New York to speak at Reverend Al Sharpton's conference this coming week. I leave from Raleigh, North Carolina tomorrow night, and head to New York. And I'll be having dinner with Michael Cohen on Thursday. I'm so looking forward to that. But at this hour, I've asked Michael to be on our show to give us some insight into the thinking of the President of the United States and what some of the great challenges are. I'm glad to call him my friend. My father, the late Reverend Jesse Jackson, had great respect for Michael Cohen, and Michael prayed with him on a couple of occasions, and I'm extremely grateful for that. Michael, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Great to see you, my friend. Great to see you. And
Mike,
yes, your father was something this world needs more of.
Michael, I really appreciate that. Michael, I'm so grateful that you reached out to me earlier today, and I'm so grateful that we were able to work out this hour-long conversation into the mindset of Donald Trump. Michael, there are about 3 minutes left in this segment. Can you share with us what's really going on in the mind of the President of the United States? Not that you've communicated with him personally in quite some time, but I don't know anyone better who has an idea of the way his mind works and what he's thinking.
So it's interesting because I get up at 4:30 in the morning to start writing my Substack articles. And the one that I wrote today, which I call Trump's 8 p.m. Reckoning, is exactly the answer to the question that you want. And if you can provide me with a second, here's what I wrote. I know how this plays out because I've lived it in Trump world before. When Trump feels time slipping, when he senses that the other side is not folding fast enough, he does not recalibrate. he amplifies. He raises the stakes, not always because it's the smartest move, but because it's the only move left that feels like control. So now you get ultimatums. You get bombing them back to the Stone Ages. We get a ticking clock that was never necessary, but is now unavoidable. That's the whole point. You know, in your opening, Jesse, you touch on so many different issues, some of which I agree with emphatically, and others I do not. You know, in the next segment, I hope that we can break that part down. So, for example, Iran is and has been for at least almost our entire lives a terrorist state. They have unleashed hell, not just on the Middle East, but on the United States and Americans as well. The question that I keep asking in my Substacks, on my YouTube channel, the question I keep asking, what was the urgency? Why are we there? What is the essence for Trump's decision to bring the United States into this regional war, this Middle Eastern war? Is it regime change? Is it the oil? Is it, you know, is it nuclear? Is it demilitarization? What is it? And I think that's what we need to talk about.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Our very special guest is none other than attorney Michael Cohen. I can't wait to hear his insights and analysis about the pending events by 8 p.m. tonight in Iran. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. More on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's game day. Are your moderate to severe Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms keeping you from the action? Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, could help you get back to the game. Skyrizi is proven to help people feel significant symptom relief, achieve remission, and visibly improve damage of the intestinal lining. Skyrizi is a prescription injection medicine for adults. Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines. Liver problems leading to hospitalization may occur when treated for Crohn's or ulcerative colitis.
Control is everything to me.
Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 prescribed biologic in Crohn's and ulcerative colitis combined. Learn more at skyrizi.com or 1-866-SKYRIZI.
I need a little range, step to the range.
There's a new flavor in town, the Jalapeno Ranch Club at Chick-fil-A. With that juicy Chick-fil-A original spicy or grilled chicken, a buttermilk ranch bun, candied bacon, pepper jack cheese, and jalapeno ranch sauce. It's got big ranch vibes with a little heat. Chick-fil-A's new Jalapeno Ranch Club, available for a limited time only. Order ahead on the Chick-fil-A app.
Roger and Tracy saved over $18,400. Cynthia was recovering from a family tragedy and saved over $10,300. If you are drowning in debt, then call Debt Blue. Debt Blue is a professional debt negotiation firm with over 20 years of experience helping people pay back a fraction of what they owe. Learn how to cut your debt up to half or maybe more. Be debt-free in 24 to 48 months, even with bad credit. With an A+ rating from the BBB, you can rest easy knowing Debt Blue is going to deliver guaranteed debt reduction. Debt Blue offers a success guarantee. You pay nothing unless your debt is reduced or completely resolved. That's right. You save money or it's free. Call now for significant debt relief and a free consultation. 800-200-8879. That's 800-200-8879. You don't have to declare bankruptcy. This program works if you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in debt. Call for your free consultation today. 800-200-8879. That's 800-200-8879.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Folly, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA, Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm very excited and grateful that Michael Cohen would make time for our show today. And just before the break, he was making a point about some things that he agreed with that I said and some things that he disagreed with what I said. Michael, I'm interested in exploring both of those angles with you at this hour. Michael, go ahead.
So one of the things that I was saying, and something that I think should concern every one of your listeners, should concern the entire world if they were paying attention to what's going on. I actually do not believe that Trump actually wants to do what he says that he's going to do. And I say that because knowing Trump a decade and a half that I sat by his side, when Trump truly intends to act, he's often quieter than people expect. So when you hear the noise, the repetition, the dramatic language, those profanity-laced posts, it usually is a signal that he's dealing with a pressure, not certainty, some form of pressure. And to me, the tell is that it sounds of someone who's literally trying to force an outcome before they're forced into that outcome themselves. But the one thing people have to remember, as I said before, Iran has been a terrorist state for many decades. They've been doing this forever. This is not new, and nobody should think for a second that this is new, nor should it be misunderstood. You see, their objective for decades has been consistent. They want to become a nuclear power, or at the very least, they want to get as close to that threshold as possible without triggering some world isolation or destruction. That is their game. And to those people who do not believe that Iran was actually doing this, as they set and they stretch time out, they constantly are negotiating in circles. They always reference prior agreements. They always reference, failures of commitments by other people. They do this as a tool. And every conversation to them is an opportunity to delay. That, my friend, is how they managed to enrich uranium. 1,000 pounds of 60% enriched uranium. That is something that needs to worry every single person out there, because the time period that it takes to go from 60% enriched uranium to dirty bomb or nuclear enriched uranium is a very short sprint, not a marathon. It's a short sprint. And they had 1,000 pounds of enriched uranium that they were seeking to enrich further to 90+% to use it for nuclear purpose. On top of that, they were also in conversation with Russia and China and possibly even North Korea, within which to get themselves an ICBM, an intercontinental ballistic missile, or a hypersonic missile that would be capable of striking the west coast of America.
Michael, I don't disagree that Iran has not been a trusted actor with the global community on the question of its desire for a nuclear weapon. We've seen in the last 4 weeks of the operations of this conflict, the decapitation of Iran's theocracy, its religious leadership, the decapitization, if you will, of its presidents and its public leadership. And even as it has advanced a new round of leadership, we've seen additional strikes on that leadership. The question that I'm raising today is the president's ultimatum to target power plants at 8 o'clock tonight. Well, that's everyone in the country's refrigerator.
Okay, so can we stop right there?
Yeah, sure.
Sometimes Trump makes statements that are inaccurate, that he does it within which to project strength. The question that I asked in my Substack Trump's 8 p.m. reckoning is who's the moron that was writing this and putting this sort of information in front of Trump or into his head. Because without doubt, and he already understands this, I am certain, that would be an international war crime. Now, you cannot target civilian properties, you cannot target infrastructure and so on, unless there is some connection to the military, to a force, not civilian, it has to be military. And he understands that. He understands that very well. So it brings me again back to the point, who is the moron that put that information in front of him? Instead of telling us, Jesse, something that each and every one of us, I talk about this every single day, whether it's my YouTube, on my Substack, on my podcast, it doesn't make a difference. I keep asking about the word imminence. What was so imminent that we had to go ahead at this juncture and put boots on the ground or put military hardware into the region? What do we know? Or what did Trump know? What did Pete Hegseth know that we don't know as to imminence? Were they weeks away? Were they months away? I can get behind something like that because I fear for my children, for your children, for generations to come, that a nuclear Iran, every president in the last, 55 decades have said the same thing, that Iran must never become a nuclear power because they are a theocracy. So when people say, yeah, but Israel has nukes, so does, for example, North Korea. Neither of those countries are theocracies. They do not believe that death is better than life.
I think where we may have a slight disagreement, and let me be clear, I, as a member of Congress, work very closely with the Israeli government and the U.S. government for Israeli security. I also believed in a two-state solution, funding programs, the Palestinian Authority, Mr. Abbas's government, in order to achieve the two-state solution through multiple presidents of the United States. So I'm not going to allow a conversation where I don't indicate on the front side that I believe in Israeli security, but I also believe in Palestinian justice.
Can I just join you in that? I too have always called for a two-state solution, just so that we're clear on that too. But Iran is a whole nother animal. They're not Palestine.
I understand. What is imminent is the need for fertilizer for the planting season here in the United States that needs to move through the Hormuz Strait. What is imminent is the cost of gasoline during the travel season, including aviation fuel that is stuck in the Hormuz Strait. What is imminent is the threat by Iran to close the Hormuz Strait and impact the global economy. And that's why the president's primary criteria is to open up the Hormuz Strait because of its impact on affordability. What is imminent are the primaries in the midterm elections that could be decided on the questions of affordability, which the Hormuz Strait at this hour has more to contribute to than any other conversation we've had about the price of eggs or the price of bacon in this country. And so what is imminent is an election where the American people have not declared war against the Iranians, but we find ourselves at this hour threatening the civilian infrastructure of the people of Iran, and at this hour, the Iranians are, I've been shared on news and seen in other sources, that Iranians are forming human shields around power plants and on bridges. They are capturing moral authority on the question of the preemptive nature of the Iranian imminent attack by the President of the United States at 8 p.m. It seems to me, Michael, in all fairness, that when the president launched a series of B-2 bombers a little less than a year ago to take out underground bunkers, the degradation, if you will, by Israel and the United States of Iran's capabilities towards building a nuclear weapon have been set back clearly by decades. There's no debating that. The leadership has been removed, but now that which the President of the United States promises this evening at 8 o'clock, he responded today before the press today, if not last night. He said, because Iran has participated in war crimes in the past, he doesn't believe that what he is going to undertake on this day is a war crime. Come on, Michael.
Right. Well, let's just say I don't agree with that last part, that it's not a war crime. It is actually tantamount to a war crime. There is no reason in the world that he should be saying things. No president's public remarks should ever be that we're going to blow them back or we're going to set them back to the Stone Age. Because when you openly talk about destroying a country's civilian infrastructure, you're not just being provocative, which, Trump likes to be. You're stepping into a territory that invites really serious legal and moral scrutiny. Now, you could call it a dual use if you want. You can call it a necessity. You can call it whatever legal framework that you want to dress it in. But that statement that they're going to knock out the bridges, the desalination plants, the electrical grid, it is tantamount to an international war crime. So, this is not just tough talk, Jesse. All right. This is a potential admission that for whatever the reason, whoever wrote those lines for him think that this is, going to be applause lines, wrapped up in patriotism. It's not the kind of language that, creates a problem. It is the problem itself. And that problem cannot be undone by later explanations or by some carefully worded briefing that takes place by Caroline Leavitt. It cannot be walked back. When you blow something up, you blow it up.
My concern, Michael, is that while the President of the United States, as well as Prime Minister Netanyahu, may have military authority and they may have political authority, they do not necessarily have something that I know my father fought long and hard for, and it's something called moral authority. Listen to this statement right here, issued by the foreign minister of Iran earlier today. Attacking civilian infrastructure will not force Iranians to surrender, nor will it break our sovereignty. These attacks only signal the defeat and moral collapse of an enemy that is in a state of absolute disorder. Every building will be rebuilt stronger. We will never be recovered. What will be recovered and buried beneath the rubble is its own arrogance. It is the damage of the prestige and standing of the United States in the eyes of the world. Michael, can we recover prestige given the president's go-it-alone nature with respect to nuclear disarmament, or, if you will, uranium disarmament of the Iranians?
Well, then again, as I was saying earlier, we don't even know the full reason why we're there. I would have loved to see the president from behind the Resolute desk or in the Rose Garden come out and tell the American people what was the imminence. Why are we there in the first place? Can we re-achieve it? Not under this administration, because Trump is not that type of a president. He does not care what the rest of the world is saying. In fact, he's very close to pulling out of NATO altogether simply because they are not assisting in the attacks within which to open up the Strait of Hormuz. Now, again, Trump's position is we have enough oil for ourselves. And yes, it's costing, get a load of this number, Jesse. The result of the increase in cost per gallon of gasoline to the United States citizen amounts to $800 million a day, greater than what we were paying prior to this war with Iran. $800 million a day. That's real serious dollars that could be going to help to feed Americans, to help house Americans, to provide health care, things that your dad fought for every single day of his life.
As a result of that $800 million a day that's being passed on to the American people, we are ending up now with more month than we have paycheck. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Our very special guest is none other than attorney Michael Cohen. More when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm April Payton with BIN News Now. Artemis 2 astronauts are heading home after a historic moon flyby. Mission Commander Reed Wiseman says the crew saw impact flashes, while astronaut Victor Glover, the first black astronaut on a lunar mission, called the solar eclipse beyond words.
It is truly hard to describe. It is amazing.
They also broke Apollo 13's distance record, traveling more than 252,000 miles from Earth. An Illinois appeals court is ordering a new trial in the wrongful death case of Harith Augustus, a black barber killed by a Chicago police officer in 2018. The court says the city improperly excluded 2 black jurors. And rapper Lil TJ is facing a disorderly conduct charge after being arrested in Florida. His attorney says he was not shot and is not connected to any shooting. The arrest comes after rapper Offset was shot nearby. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Clippers have an interesting assignment tonight at the Intuit Dome in Inglewood. They need to figure out how to slow down Dallas Mavericks rookie sensation Cooper Flagg. In the Mavericks' last 2 games, the 19-year-old forward has scored 96 points. Flagg dropped 45 on the Lakers on Sunday and 51 Friday night against Orlando. The Clippers have clinched a spot in the play-in round in the Western Conference playoffs. The Lakers are at home tonight against Oklahoma City. Here's what the Lakers will be missing while Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves are sidelined with injuries. A combined 56.8 points and 13.8 assists. The Big Ten Conference hit the trifecta. The Big Ten has won national championships this year in the top 3 major sports. Indiana won the football title in January. Michigan won the men's basketball title Monday night. And UCLA won the women's basketball title Sunday. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
The joint will be jumping. Ebony Repertory Theater, in association with Big Street Films, brings you one of the most beloved musicals of all time. Tony Award winner, Ain't Misbehavin'. The soulful, swinging celebration of the music of Fats Waller. From the rollicking to the romantic, this show is pure magic, full of the songs that defined an era and the voices that'll make you forget everything else for a night. Foot stomping, heart stirring, unforgettable. Don't miss Ain't Misbehavin' at the Nate Holden Performing Arts Center, starring Lettucey, directed by Ren T. Brown. This is the night out you've been waiting for. Tickets are going fast, so don't wait. Grab yours now at ebonyrep.org or call the box office today at 323-964-9766. Ebony Repertory Theater, bringing the culture, keeping the legacy alive.
Ain't Misbehavin' runs May 21st through June 8th at the Nate Holden Performing Arts Center. Get your tickets now.
Can we just talk? Have a smiley. You've heard me say it before, how we talk to one another matters. Earlier this year, we launched our first cohort, and I'm grateful to those who leaned in early and helped to shape the work. Now I'm inviting you to join me for a new live seminar, The Practice of Dialogue, Becoming a More Effective Communicator. This is a small group experience designed to help you strengthen how you communicate in your work, your relationships, and your everyday life. Space is limited to keep the experience personal and interactive. So if you're ready to take your communication to the next level, now is the time to focus on the skills that make conversations meaningful. The new 4-week cohort begins Monday, May 4th, and there's a nice discount for early bird registrants. Visit TavishTalks.com to learn more and reserve your place today. That's TavishTalks.com, because better conversations don't just happen, we practice them.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. In this hour, our very special guest is none other than Michael Cohen, a lawyer, former fixer and advisor to the President of the United States. He hosts the popular New York Times bestseller Mea Culpa podcast, offering insights into his past work and current political climate, and frequently appears on news programs across the country and around the world. Michael, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Always. So,
Michael,
hey, Jesse, can I jump in for one quick second here, because I wanted to clarify something as well.
Just before we do, Michael, let me ask this. How can our listeners support your work and stay in touch with you on your various social media platforms?
Substack is probably the easiest, followed then by on my YouTube channel. The Michael Cohen Show are probably the two easiest. But, you know, I was thinking during the break, I was thinking about Dad for a second and how his whole life was dedicated to human rights and to the protections and freedoms of the individual. You know, when we talk about this Iranian regime, I want to remind the listeners, I don't agree with us being there because I don't know why we're there. If there was proper imminence, if there was just cause, I would be fine. But I do want to remind people that just a short while ago during a protest, the Iranian regime, the now deceased Ayatollah Khamenei, killed 45,000 protesters. 45,000. In fact, right now, this new regime, which is the deceased Ayatollah's son, another Ayatollah Khamenei, is talking about the Iranian people being used as a human shield to prevent any strikes, which, by the way, is a clear violation of international law, and it is a war crime by every definition. But I just want to give a fast overview again to the people so we understand who we are dealing with. In 1981-82, right after the revolution, that regime, the one of the deceased Khamenei, over 125,000 people were executed. Then 2022 through 2024, women, they started a protest called Women, Life, Freedom. They tortured, they raped, they imprisoned, they murdered, they sexually violated a whole slew of these women that were protesting. They are also consistently at the top of the world's list amongst executions. They execute people like it means nothing. And then the persecution of minorities. I mean, this is not a country of good people. But then again, Jesse, I stand with you. I'd like to know why we're there in the first place.
Michael, let me just add that let's assume that, and I have no reason to dispute the facts that you've suggested, nor am I suggesting that your information is not accurate. But let's just assume that they do have 1,000 pounds of unenriched uranium. It would require boots on the ground to verify that. And so far, there's been no appetite by the administration to put boots on the ground to verify that.
Right.
And so that's neither here nor there.
Well, it is. No, it is. It is here and there.
Okay, well, we'll come back to that in a moment then. And then you decapitate the leadership of the regime, which we've done over and over and over again, and that which we have not done, Israel has certainly done. Then the Ayatollah either commands thousands of human shields on bridges, people around their infrastructure, and that in and of itself, from my perspective, should give the United States pause to not bomb infrastructure where there are human shields.
Okay, agreed. And we have not done that yet. And chances are that Trump will not do that for exactly the reasons, Jesse, that you state. If there are human shields being used, there is no doubt in my mind. Remember what, for example, Senator Kelly and the 5 other members of Congress said. You do not have to follow an illegal order, which of course pissed off the administration, but it's factually accurate. You are not to follow an illegal order. And shooting at or blowing up in infrastructure that you probably shouldn't blow up anyway, that is housed or surrounded by a human shield, is not certainly something that I think anybody is going to do.
So am I supposed to have confidence that Donald Trump has suddenly developed an appreciation for Iranian life?
No. Just that there are other targets that they can actually take out. For example, like on Karg Island, which they already started this morning attacking the military base that's there. You see, the problem also for Trump, and it's not really funny, but it's true, is that over the course of the 41 days of this war, they have already destroyed more than 20,000 military sites. So the question becomes, what's left? Because again, you cannot go after civilian sites without being in violation of international law.
Michael, this is what the president says within the last 3 hours. A whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. I don't want that to happen, but it probably will. However, now that we have complete and total regime change, where different, smarter, and less radicalized minds prevail, maybe something revolutionarily, it's an interesting word, revolutionarily wonderful can happen. Who knows? Question mark. We will find out tonight one of the most important moments in the long and complex history of the world. 47 years of extortion, corruption, and death will finally end. God bless the great people of Iran. Michael, that is a pretty ominous threat from the President of the United States. It does not sound like there is a medium, if you will, where the president is willing to come back from the brink that he has suggested and demanded that strait be open by 8 p.m. tonight. And there is no evidence that there are even talks taking place at this hour for that strait to open.
Well, that's true. What he says and what he does, I hope enough people have seen this over time, is not necessarily on the same plane. It's easy to talk tough, right? How many times you say, one more word out of you and I'm going to hit you in the mouth. And then the person turns around and they say, okay, just one more word. How many times now have we seen, right, ultimatums, right, being given? This is now the 3rd ultimatum that was given to Iran. Will they end up bombing areas that have human shields? The answer is no. I'm certain for that because the repercussions are so significant, and not just repercussions in an international court, but also in the court of public opinion, as you were talking about at the beginning of this segment.
I know we have about 2 minutes before we come forward, Michael. Let me just ask a very quick question. If I were the Iranians and I wanted to enter negotiations with the United States on the opening of the Strait of Hormuz, I think I would insist that that which has been destroyed be reimbursed or compensated to the people of Iran before a single gallon of oil passes through the strait as compensation for our losses. What do you think about that idea? If I were,
that's actually part of the five.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's part of the 5-point plan that they provided to Trump already in response to Trump's 15-point plan. All of Iran needs now an overhaul, very much like after World War II, when the world rebuilt Germany. There is going to need to be a concerted effort within which to rebuild Iran, because Iran, even with their oil money, does not have anywhere near the amount that's desperately needed in order to put it back together. If they really wanted to make a deal, they should probably call me and I'll figure it out for them.
Michael, we only have about 20 seconds, a very quick answer, and then we'll come forward with your final thoughts. Michael, who's supposed to pay for that?
It will be the Middle East. It will be the entire world.
I'm just
be America.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Our very special guest in this hour is none other than the great attorney, Michael Cohen. Michael, I'm glad you're on our show. Look forward to your comments when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. These are hard times for housing in America. Too many in our community face barriers to safe housing, behavioral health care, and affirming spaces for healing, particularly those impacted by poverty and stigma or incarceration. Rooted in South LA, Ahmad supports impacted communities through housing, wellness, and leadership development. Ahmad provides culturally responsive, peer-led support from transitional housing and mental health services to leadership development and youth empowerment. They offer safe, affirming houses for youth, transgender women, and formerly incarcerated individuals. Therapy and peer support with a focus on healing trauma in Black communities. HIV prevention and care, free testing, education, and wraparound services for whole person wellness. Standing in the gap with health, housing, and hope. Reach out to Ahmad Institute at 323-569-1610. That's 323-569-1610. Or visit amaad.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Get the 411 on 411. Saturday, April 11th, join us at Victory Park in Pasadena for the Altadena Build Together Fair from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. For those impacted by the Eaton Canyon fire, if you've been asking, where do I start? How do I rebuild? Who can help? This is for you. We're bringing together the resources, the experts, and the support you need all in one place. Plus, music, food, and activities for the whole family. Visit actionaltadena.com. The Altadena Build Together Fair, because rebuilding starts together. Getting around LA doesn't have to cost a lot. Metro has fares that fit every budget. 20 free rides for qualified riders through the Life Fare program. Free passes for students with GoPass and affordable options for everyone in between. Wherever you're going, Metro's got you covered. Visit metro.net/fare programs.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Getting around LA doesn't have to cost a lot. Metro has fares that fit every budget. 20 free rides for qualified riders through the Life Fare program. Free passes for students with GoPass and affordable options for everyone in between. Wherever you're going, Metro's got you covered. Visit metro.net/fare programs.
We're at Doolin's on Crenshaw. It's a special place where the neighborhood comes together. Got the fried chicken, the catfish, the candied yams, the mac and cheese. It's all delicious. I'm Isaac Bryan. I represent the Crenshaw District in the California State Legislature, and I'm supporting Tom Steyer for governor of California. California is under attack, and we need a fighter who's going to come in on day one and stand up for California values and push back. That person is Tom Steyer. Tom and I have been fighting together for the better part of a decade. Tom is the only candidate supported by smart justice because Tom has stood on the front lines of racial justice, economic justice, and true solidarity. Tom is the real deal. He's the only candidate in the race with a comprehensive plan to make the billionaires and the corporations pay their fair share so we can fund things like universal health care and education. He means what he says, and he does what we need. This is a moment when we've got to fight fire with fire, and I believe that fire is Tom Steyer.
Ad paid for by Steyer for Governor 2026.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download that.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580, about 4 hours before the president's ultimatum is to be met. And according to Reuters, and more specifically in the Jerusalem Post, Iran has now attacked Saudi Arabia's Jubail petrochemical complex, the heart of Kingdom's downstream energy sector and home to multi-billion-dollar joint ventures. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps has said on Tuesday. Jubail, a sprawling industrial city, houses massive joint ventures between state-backed oil giant Saudi Aramco and petrochemical subsidiary SABIC and Western energy majors. This conflict is expanding, even as we speak. Our very special guest in this hour is none other than my good friend Michael Cohen. I'm so grateful that attorney Michael Cohen is our guest on the program today. Michael, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
And I'm grateful to have you as a friend, my brother.
Michael, let me ask you a quick question. And I know that we're at the end of our show in this particular segment, but some have suggested that the timing of the firing of Pam Bondi, the release of the Epstein files, have greatly expedited the president's distraction public relations team and have led to maybe one of the greatest distractions in American history, a preemptive strike on Iran in the context of the domestic concerns with the release of these files. Your comments on that, and then we'll move in the direction of a word of hope.
I've heard many times now that Trump has elected to institute and to engage in this war in Iran as a means of deflecting from the Epstein file. I can tell you emphatically, that is not an accurate statement at all. And I want to remind the listeners and people who believe that even while this war is raging on, day 41, as of today, there are 4 more subpoenas that have been issued to individuals. They have already now spoken with, I'm talking about Congress, has already deposed at hearings 5 different people, including Les Wexner, who was very involved with Jeffrey Epstein. In fact, it's believed that he financed at least the initial stages. It was his house that was given to Jeffrey Epstein. They also had individuals like Indike, who was Jeffrey Epstein's personal lawyer. They had another guy named Khan, who was his in-house accountant. You have Howard Lutnick, who is now being subpoenaed for deposition. Pam Bondi herself is going to be deposed by the House Judiciary, led by none other than Jamie Raskin. So nothing is going away. Nothing is stopping. Yes, I concede that we have not been talking about it. It's not the first thing that you see when they turn on the television. Right now, what you see is what looks like a video game of the blowing up of whether it's military armament, buildings, planes, helicopters, etc. Remember, before the Iran skirmish, there were the same video style of those boats in the Caribbean, right outside of Venezuela, being blown up. I mean, for whatever reason, these seem to attract viewership, and that's all that these television stations are interested in accomplishing.
Michael,
Keeping
but
your attention.
Michael, but that is the deflection. The fact that we're not leading with the Epstein story, we're not leading with the new subpoenas.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
But it doesn't mean, Jesse, that it's not still continuing. More documents are still being released. More unredacted documents based upon FOIA are still being released. And yes, we're not talking about it nearly as much as it deserves to be talked about, but that will come back. But I do want just people to understand it has not been sidelined. It has not been put into the vault, waiting to be opened at a future date. They're still actively working on it every single day.
I appreciate your insight on the question. We may have a slight disagreement on that, and I won't press it now. But it just seems to
come back. Happy to come back and make a whole episode about it.
I'm looking forward to it, Michael. There's a lot going on in the world. Certainly from Venezuela to Iran, to talk now of the possibility of Cuba. I think the president of the United States said, "You're up next." He proposed this year a $1.5 trillion military budget, and shortly after that, he said that the government's role and responsibility should not be Medicare and Medicaid. It should be turned over to the states. It shouldn't be the federal responsibility. A lot of people and their hope that government of, for, and by the people will not perish from the face of the earth. And that somehow the idea that the government will not be providing these kinds of basic services to the American people going forward, but turning the responsibility over to the states, is deeply troubling for people who are looking for hope, certainly economic hope, during this hour. Michael, can you offer us any word of hope that might for our listeners inspire them and move them to greater civic participation?
The answer is yes, I can. And the answer is your listeners. It's your community. It's the Black community, specifically the Gen Z Black community, that will be the largest single voting bloc in America. We have midterm elections coming up in November. If I hear again 70 million Americans chose not to vote, and then they want to complain about what the results are, you know what they always say: you don't have the right to complain if you don't want to be a part of the solution. And that's a big problem. We need to ensure that everybody remains vigilant, that they remain informed, that they go to the polls, that they vote, whether it's going to be mail-in voting or whether they're going to go to the poll sites. Make sure you vote, and vote for somebody who has the ideology that your dad had, right? That you have, Jesse, that I try to have. That's the important thing. This is supposed to be, you're right. We shouldn't be spending or even thinking about spending $1.5 trillion on armaments to blow stuff up when we have people who are hungry, who are homeless, when we have people who have no health care or they have limited health care. This is not what our taxpayer dollars are supposed to go to. It is supposed to go to making our lives as good as it can be for the limited time that we're here on this earth.
I'm particularly grateful, Michael, for being on our show. Thank you for being here today.
As always.
So grateful that Michael Cohen stopped by KBLA Talk 1580 to participate in our show today. We have just a couple of minutes before we come forward, and I just want to comment on Michael's resilience. I don't know in the last 10 years, other than myself, of course, who's gone through more and been able to bounce back with a clear voice. Do we agree on everything? I wouldn't expect that from my friend. Does he agree with everything that I say? Of course he doesn't. Do I agree with everything that he says or believes? Of course I don't. But the fact that we can engage in a constructive dialogue right here on KBLA, the fact that we can talk about the things we agree on and the things we disagree on and still maintain a level of civility. This coming Thursday, I will be in New York, and Michael and I will have dinner on Thursday evening. Gives you some sense of the nature of that which we agree on and disagree on doesn't stand in the way of our genuine ability to communicate with each other, fight for what we believe, fight for what's right, and even fight for people who cannot fight for themselves. I'm particularly grateful to Michael Cohen for joining us on the show. There's about 4 hours left in the president's ultimatum for the people of Iran, if you will, the Iranian regime, to meet his deadline to open up the Hormuz Strait. I'm not convinced that that's going to happen. There are no communications at this hour taking place between the United States and the people of Iran, and that should be deeply troubling for all Americans. More on Tenacious Tuesday when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Artemis 2 astronauts are heading home after a historic moon flyby. Mission Commander Reed Wiseman says the crew saw impact flashes, while astronaut Victor Glover, the first black astronaut on a lunar mission, called the solar eclipse beyond words.
It is truly hard to describe. It is amazing.
They also broke Apollo 13's distance record, traveling more than 252,000 miles from Earth. An Illinois appeals court is ordering a new trial in the wrongful death case of Harith Augustus, a black barber killed by a Chicago police officer in 2018. The court says the city improperly excluded 2 black jurors. And rapper Lil TJ is facing a disorderly conduct charge after being arrested in Florida. His attorney says he was not shot and is not connected to any shooting. The arrest comes after rapper Offset was shot nearby. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Clippers have an interesting assignment tonight at the Intuit Dome in Inglewood. They need to figure out how to slow down Dallas Mavericks rookie sensation Cooper Flagg. In the Mavericks' last 2 games, the 19-year-old forward has scored 96 points. Flagg dropped 45 on the Lakers on Sunday and 51 Friday night against Orlando. The Clippers have clinched a spot in the play-in round in the Western Conference playoffs. The Lakers are at home tonight against Oklahoma City. Here's what the Lakers will be missing while Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves are sidelined with injuries. A combined 56.8 points and 13.8 assists. The Big Ten Conference hit the trifecta. The Big Ten has won national championships this year in the top 3 major sports. Indiana won the football title in January. Michigan won the men's basketball title Monday night. And UCLA won the women's basketball title Sunday. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
When the story gets twisted, who's going to tell the truth? When they cut the microphones, who's still talking? When history gets rewritten, who remembers what really happened? We do. KBLA Talk 1580. Black media isn't just important right now, it's essential. Because when mainstream outlets move on, we stay. When the headlines ignore our communities, we don't. When decisions are being made that affect Black lives in our schools, our neighborhoods, our economy, KBLA is in the room. This is more than radio. This is a lifeline, a record, a rallying cry. Black stories, Black voices, Black power.
The heat is on.
On the air and in the culture. KBLA Talk 1580. Stay connected. Stay informed. Stay loud.
Stand up!
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.